Hello and welcome to another Tabletop Ramblings Middle-earth strategy battle game battle report. King Durburz has his sights set on a pet cave drake. The only problem is those eggs are not unguarded. This is Moria Civil War. The game today is domination, all about taking that central objective, which is the eggs that Durburz is trying to steal. Deployment is Maelstrom of battle, so we'll roll for first turn deployment and then we'll see who is going to be deploying first. Durburz and co are going to be evil, and the drakes who are just trying to protect their young will be good. And deploying first is Durburz and the Goblins. End of turn one for the Forces of Evil, and the Shaman, Durburz and Groblog all rolled one, so they're not coming on. The captain and his few goblins have come on right in the middle, running towards the objectives. Let's see where the cave drakes are going to enter. End of turn one, and the goblin captain and a couple of goblins were the only ones to come on. A little scouting party for the goblins, and in return 3 cave drakes have entered, ready to squash those invading goblins and run towards those eggs to defend them. So we'll roll for turn 2 priority, and this time it goes to the cave drakes. End of turn 2 movement. The drakes have moved in and they've blocked off with their large bases any hope of the goblins going round. So the captain managed to charge in with a passed courage test into the adult rainbow drake with some spear supports, and then the archers have stayed still to shoot into the combats and try and get lucky, basically. The other adult cave drake has come in, while the young cave drake has run towards the centre. And then for the goblins, Durburz right in that far corner has come on, and then Groblog and importantly that Shaman have come on. Down here they could have come up there with their dice rolls, but they've had to walk further round because of that big piece of terrain, so they decided to allow Durburz to catch up. This game does end at 50%, so as long as they don't run away when they break, which that Shaman with Fury should help, then they can win this even with a split up force. They just need to get onto the centre as quick as possible. One last thing in the movement phase is the Shaman, that goblin there, modelled with a banner. He is casting a channeled Fury. He's going to roll his 2 will, leaving him 1 remaining, and there it goes off on a 6. So with Channeled Fury, he gives everyone within 6 inches a 6-up invulnerable save, and also the Fearless special rule, which will help in charging these terrifying cave drakes. There will be some combats this turn, but first off we have shooting. We have these 2 goblins shooting into that cave drake there. This one will have it in the way for his friend because he's foolishly not in base contact. So we'll roll this guy first, who's just got an in the way for the combat. That is cocked, misses. So then the guy with an in the way misses. We'll then do these 2, both shooting into there. They were touching until they were knocked, but they both miss. So very poor shooting. So we'll start off with this combat here. On the charge, the Cave Drakes have 5 attacks, and that Goblin is going to shield for his life. He gets 2 4s. The Cave Drake only just wins on the 4, but he does have a fight value of 6. So he wins that fight, and then he's going to barge to try and get onto the centre as quick as possible. He gets to move 3 inches, so he pushes this Goblin back. He's going to make him go through all of those guys, and he is going to move as well. So with that barge, the juvenile Drake has pushed the Goblin back and into the archers, pushing them back, and has himself managed to retreat closer to the central objectives. The objective, we should point out, is that set of eggs in the middle, and it is also Cave Drake eggs, giving them fearless. The objective is underneath those eggs, and then these 3 markers are the other Cave Drake's eggs, and as they all benefit from each other's eggs, there is a huge area in the centre where the Cave Drakes will be fearless. But onto this combat here, we have the large Cave Drake. Oh, still only a 4, so the captain and some friends. We'll roll the captain first, bottles it, and then the friends, we'll just borrow this dice because I've picked up the wrong number. 2 1s. Oh, it was a 6 off the table, but it's a 4. Oh dear. So the Cave Drake wins. The captain with a 1 and a 2 can't mite it, so the Cave Drake wins on a 4 high. That is impressive. Impressively poor for the Goblins. They are knocked prone and pushed back, and the Cave Drake is going to kill. Could barge, but with a captain in there, it's best to kill the captain. So strength 7, defense 6, wounding on 4s, 1 wound, 2 3 wounds. So that's the first set of double strikes, and then the third set of double strikes kills the other Goblin. So that is the captain and friend dead, and still 2 double strikes not even used there. They definitely took the tough end of the Cave Drake there, and that is the end of the turn. We'll roll for priority as we're here, and it goes to the Goblins. End of the movement phase, and the Goblins down here, even with their captain dead, are very brave, passing 2 courage tests out of 2, an archer and a spearman both charging in, and the 3 archers then remain still so that they can try and shoot those guys out, try and kill them, so that the Drakes can't heroic combat or do any shenanigans like barges, with the other combat guys just running up to take their place next turn. Evil then proceeded to just charge forward as close as they can towards the objectives, bearing in mind that these guys could heroic combat off and do all sorts of craziness. They've made sure the bat is fairly safe, but other than that, they're just running headlong forward. And that is also what the Drakes have done. They are in that fearless bubble now. The elder and younger Drake over there running towards the centre, ready for some carnage around that central objective, those central eggs. So we'll do the shoot phase. We've got 3 shots and these 2 Drakes in combat. We'll do them one at a time, just in case by some miracle they can kill the Goblins in both fights. So the first one, going after the Spearman. He hits, because they've not moved. Does it hit the Goblin or the Drake? It hits the Drake, and then 6s by 4s. No. The second shot, this chap here, misses. And then the final guy, he is going to shoot into that combat there. He hits. He hits the Drake, 6s by 4s. No. No wounds there. So their plan didn't really pay off. The list does have quite a lot of archers in for this exact reason, but 3 is not really reliable enough. The 8 that they've brought with them would have been much better at that. So with that, we'll go into the combat phase. Combat phase, and neither of the drakes are going to heroic combat. They've only got 1 point of might, and they'd be better off saving that to try and win some fights later on. They haven't got strike, but with their number of attacks, they can still tend to win fights, but sometimes they need a little bit of help, so they're going to save that might. So we'll do this one first. It's Goblin priority, and with this one, he'll have to go round his friend if he barges, so he's further away from the objective, so it makes sense to do that one first. Just 4 attacks, because he's not on the charge, easily wins it. And then he's going to barge him 4, so he gets to move 4 inches. So he can go round 4, he's got to go around his friend. And then this chap is pushed back 3, right back to his archer friend there. And then we'll do this combat here. And it goes to the Goblin! The Goblin on the 6. Not going to bother with a point of might there from the Drake, who... in fact, his friend obviously can make way, can't he? So he backs away an inch. And then the Goblin makes a strike. Wounding on 6s. No, that would have been incredible if he had. But the Goblin fails to wound. And importantly, the Drake's forming that wall still to stop these Goblins, even if they had legs long enough to catch them, from being able to catch up and get through. They've got some good control, these Drakes. If they can wall an area off around this objective, then they could win by default. So that's the end of the turn. We'll roll for priority. And again, it goes to the Goblins. End of the movement phase, and the good luck on courage tests ended for the Goblins. These 2 spearmen failed their courage tests. This chap was out of range, so he ran up, but was unable to reach. And the archers stayed still for some shots, as they were also out of charge range. Groblog and his guys ran up, staying at 8.5 inches away, which is just out of charge range from the Drakes. And then the Drakes abandoned these guys to their failings of courage and charged up. They formed a bit of a wall so that they can't get trapped too easily. And they are ready to obliterate them and get towards the objective, which these 2 Drakes have managed to do, with one getting to the objective and the other getting very close, while Durburz and co are taking the long road around there. It's shaping up to be a massive scrap in the centre, with the barges and heroic combats and such allowing the Drakes to get where they need to be before starting their kills. There are no combats, but there are some shots. So these 4 who stayed still are going after the baby Drake. Now the baby Drake does have an in the way for the base, but scenic bases never count as in the way, and also realistically this Drake is a proxy for an adult Drake, so we've got to assume that it's up here. Not that that makes a difference for this shooting, but just for sort of reference, the Drakes are assumed to be full size. So we have 4 shots that all miss. It's a small target and they miss. We then have these 4 going for the bigger target, the rainbow scaled Drake. 2 hits, bigger target, nice and close. 6s by force to wound. There's a 6 or a 7, as that's the misprint die. 6s by 6. That is a wound on the curly-tailed rainbow Drake. He was referred to as the rainbow Drake, as the other one's not got rainbow scales, because it took forever and I couldn't be bothered to do 2. But he's the elder rainbow Drake, as his smaller kin have been rainbowed as well. So we'll mark that off, and that is the first wound against a Drake. They do have a lot of wounds, only one fate, and I'll be saving that fate for later. We actually should have declared which was the leader, and to be honest, it's going to be the Rainbow Drake. So we will use that fate just to see if leader kills will be given. No, so he's used his fate, he's saved it, and he now has no fate, but he's still full wounds as he is the leader. We should have declared that earlier. It's always going to be him just because he is the prettiest. End of the turn then, we have the Goblin Archery taking a wound, or a fate point anyway, as it was saved, off the leader Drake, and the Goblins getting ready to try and close the trap on the Drakes who have already made their way to the centre. Let's roll for turn, probably 3 or 4 priority, and it's a draw. It went to the Goblins last, so now it goes to the Drakes. After a lot of thought, Groblog will not call a heroic move. He could have had his guys charge in, but the Bat and the Troll are not fearless. They're not affected by the Shaman's fury. So if they're unable to charge, it's not really going to help them too much, especially with these guys being able to come round. And the threat of them potentially charging is possibly better, because if these guys go in, they risk getting trapped by a Bat that halves fight value, and then with a Troll as well, it's going to be an absolute mess. So their threat is probably better than the reality, especially as currently both of these are unable to reach that line. So if the Drakes go first, it's probably better for the Goblins. Jumping in halfway through the movement phase, as the Drake has pulled away with the younger one charging in there. The Troll is unable to get into combat this turn. The Drakes have managed to kind of form a wall here, and they're disengaged from them, with this one bringing up the rear. Then Durburz has charged around, because however well this goes, if there's more Goblins on the objective, when the game ends, which is random after break, they'll still win. Here, however, they've not yet moved. These guys have just all charged forward. The archers are not going to bother shooting. But here, as we say, they've not moved yet. And that is because we're going to see if those Bats can pass a courage test. They're only courage 2, but there are 2 of them. This one is going to charge this chap. Again, as we say, he's meant to be quite tall, so the Bats can easily see. Courage test, fails. The other Bat passes on an 11, so the Bat goes round. He's not within an inch, so he's not in that guy's control zone, and importantly, this Drake is now half fight value, which is now fight value 3, and Groblog and a bunch of fearless Goblins, because of the Shaman, are going to be charging in. So Groblog and an awful lot of Goblins and that Bat are in on the trapped Cave Drake. There wasn't a massive amount that the Cave Drakes could do to stop that kind of move. They were relying on the terror to keep the Bats at bay, but it has not paid off. So we go into the combat phase, because the archers have all moved up. There's no point shooting, as realistically they're only there to kill lone models that charged into the Cave Drakes to stop them from doing shenanigans. So they've moved up, because that central objective is worth so many of the victory points. So combats, we'll have to come back when we've gathered enough dice, because there are going to be a lot in this fight. Wow, so this fight here is 5 dice for the Cave Drake, because it is on a charge, but against 9 Goblins, the 2 attacks from the Bat and 2 from Groblog. That is going to be brutal. The Goblins have +1 fight value because they trap their opponent, and we'll just see if Groblog's crown goes off, and it does. So the base Goblins are now fight 4, which is, because of the bats, higher than the cave drake. Which means everyone in base contact is going to stab, faint in fact. So there's no negative, it just halves their fight value, but the spearmen have a high enough fight value to win that fight. So we'll let the drake set the bar on a 4. That seems to be all the drakes can roll. 4 high, not good enough. So we'll do the bat in red, Groblog in the tabletop ramblings dice, and the bat has won it. At least, oh yes, in fact, and with fight value, so they've won even if the 4 gets mited up from that drake. So we'll do the 4 stabbers first. So that's 8 dice because these are double strikes. They are needing 6s. Nothing but re-rolling 1s. 1 wound. So that's 1 wound so far. We then have the bat with double strikes. Again, needing 6s. Nothing. Wow, that is not good. And then Groblog's first double strikes. Nothing, but he did faint. No. And no. Again, he fainted. Nothing. That is just 1 wound on the drake. Everybody moves back a touch because he's trapped. They don't have to back away the full inch as we have had pointed out. So very, very uneventful. I thought that was going to be a dead drake, but the blows just bounced off, and the drakes are going to get ready for some vengeance next turn. It is a wound on the baby drake, and it didn't cost Groblog any might to strike, so that is definitely a bonus there. So we'll mark that off. But first off, we will roll for priority. And this time it goes to the drakes. So we'll have a ponder about heroics. But first off, we'll mark off that wound on baby drake. Again, a lot of deliberation as to whether it's worth calling a heroic. Groblog is the only one around here that can strike, and he's only got 3 might. The Shaman, called a Channeled Fury, so he's not got any might left. And the Captain got crushed. There is Durburz, but he's still a long way away. So he's not going to call, because the line, they can't get through this line here, and they could do with Durburz getting closer. So they are going to risk it. It probably means the death of the bats, but it's at this point not really worth calling a heroic move, especially as the troll may well just fail its courage anyway, and then it's all a big mess. So we'll allow the drakes to move. In the drakes movement, they have taunted Durburz and co. by charging in against the bat, close enough that some goblins can try and charge, but with this guy charging in to pull the bat away. Then here, this one went straight back into all of those guys, with the risk of a bat coming in, but with evil priority. With good priority, rather, the drake should be able to stop him being trapped. Then this drake just went in on 1, allowing the cave troll to try his hand at a courage test to try and make it into combat, or to bail out and have those 4 try and shoot into the combat. So we'll go into Evil's move. Around the back, the swordsman who was in range failed his courage test to charge, so the rest have just gone forward, running towards the centre, and also just trying to protect the 2 big hitters from being charged, just so that with the risk of a heroic combat, Durburz doesn't have to strike up needlessly, just with the threat of a charge. It would come in though, because here the cave troll is going to try and charge the rainbow drake. He's courage 2 or 3. Oh, but a 9 is more than enough. So he is going forward, can go 3. He can actually go far enough around to trap this drake here. And these guys in 6. Everyone's in 6, so they are just going to pile in, and we'll come back after the rest of the goblin moves. Or in fact, just while we're here, we'll do a courage test for the bats. It's going to try and charge in on this one here that's facing Groblog, but fails its courage rather miserably. End of the turn, the goblins are just flooding forwards, and they've also charged into the drakes quite momentously. We have the troll and co all in on this drake, although as much as he looks trapped, because of his oval base, he can pivot and get out, which I don't really know if you can pivot and then move, but as far as I'm aware, you can pivot at any point in time, unless otherwise stated. Things like the chariot and those kind of things can't do that. So I believe that he's not trapped, even though if it was a round base, he would be, which is a bit bizarre. But at any rate, we have various combats. There's no shooting as the archers have moved up. There's no point shooting into these combats, as they'll just kill their own goblins with no benefit. And most of the archers are actually in this combat trying to chance the hand and win, even though the troll and the drake do have even fight value. But with that burly two-hand hammer, it's they really do want the troll to win that fight. So, in the combat phase, Groblog is going to heroic strike against the tiny goblin, tiny drake, and the baby drake is calling a heroic combat against the bats. The reason for that is so that they can go off and munch stuff, and also just to make sure that they can free up these guys just in case there was a heroic move or anything along those lines. So we'll do the heroic combat first, and even half fight value, they're still a higher fight value than the bat, so we'll just roll for the one that's got no might first. Bottles it, and then the other drake, just throw one on the floor, so we'll reroll that one. Dear me, only a 4 high, the bat could win. No, not on double ones. These drakes really need to learn how to roll higher than a 4. Let's just find another dice, as that one went on the floor. There we go. So the first one with no might munches it. 4s and 5s, still no 6s, but enough to kill the bat. Even though the bat has 4 wounds, that is more than enough to kill it. And then these drakes are going to charge in. Now this drake is going to go after the troll. He is just going to turn and charge. Importantly as well, just trying to body block from these guys coming on. And then this drake is going to charge into those two, ready to single-handedly hold back the king, the troll, and all those goblins from getting in on the objectives. So that's the heroic combat, and then we'll go into the normal combats, and we'll start off with this one, and we'll go round. So the troll, 3 attacks, gets 2 6s. They know how to roll. Drake on the charge. Can he get a 6? No chance. That is a shame. Is it worth might? Oh, it will only draw the fight, so no. He is not going to spend might. He loses the fight. He backs away. And then the troll is going to make strikes. He is strength 6 against defense 7. So he's wounding on 5s, but barely. It's down to 4s. So 4s to wound. Oh, that is 2 wounds against the green drake. 2 wounds there. That is nasty. We'll put a marker on him just so that we remember, so that we can mark it off. But first off, we have this combat here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goblins. The ones at the, in fact, they're all at the front, aren't they? No spears there. They are all going to stab, because why not? So we'll let them set the bar. They've got the 6, so they have a 6 there. The drake, can a drake roll a 6? Yes, they've finally remembered how. And this drake is just going to munch. So double strikes going all the way along. It is 3s against them all. Strength 7 against even defense 5. Let's just double check that he is strength 7. Got the page open. Yes, strength 7, defense 7. He's all the 7s, but not fight value. Do need to remember that he's not fight value 7. So against the first guy needing 3s, dead. Second guy, dead. Third guy, dead. Fourth guy, dead. And fifth guy, dead. That is incredible work there. 5 dead goblins, 1 pushed back and knocked prone. We'll put a marker on him in a moment. That is some serious pain dealt out by the Drake there. Now that they're roughly in position and they can start killing, they are absolutely amazing. So we'll then do Groblog. We'll see if his crown goes off, and it does. So he is fight 4, and then he's going to strike to fight 9. So he has the fight value. We'll let the Drake set the bar. The Drake did charge. Oh, and he's got lots of 6s there. That's more like it, Mr. Drake. He has 3 6s and 2 5s. So we'll roll for the plebs first. How many have we got? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plebs. And the Shaman, who is out of might, but we'll give him a different colour anyway. And then we'll roll Groblog separately if needed. But they've got a 6. So they win on the fight value. They push the Baby Drake back. So Baby Drake is pushed back. And then it is time to strike. So we should have pointed out, obviously, the front ones are going to be stabbing. So these are re-rolling 1s, nothing. They need 6s, but re-rolling 1s, still nothing. And then the 4 at the back, nothing. They're not stabbing because you can't stab with a spear. And then the Shaman, no. And Groblog, no. That is abysmal. Groblog, obviously, having used a strike to get the fight value, would not have fainted. So a point of might there to simply push the Drake back towards the objective. That is not very good there for the Goblins. Although 2 wounds off that Drake from the Cave Troll, that is more like it. Let's see what's going to happen up here, though. It's the Drake against 4. So the Drake, 5 on the charge against the 4 Goblins. The Drake has won on a 6. And then he is just going for the kill. So on the first guy, needing 3s, no. Yes. And then a million strikes on the other guy, kills him on a 3. So those 2 are down, those 2 back away. And that is the end of the turn. End of the turn, and the Goblins and their trolls and bats are moving towards the centre, but the Drakes definitely have the position at the moment, holding back the tide, and they have a chap on the objective ready to start hurling stuff around and annihilating goblins. Let's roll for next turn priority. That's cocked, and it goes to the Drakes. That is quite big there for the Cave Drakes. We'll see if there's going to be any heroics. Again, after a lot of thought, Groblog is not going to call a heroic move. The Drakes could come back and sit on the objective and be a complete pain, but the Goblins, there's not too much to be gained. They can't really track them. They need that might for strikes. So at this point, they're not going to be calling a heroic move. And up here with Durburz at the back, he just can't really do anything with a heroic move. So we're going to allow the Drakes to move freely. The Drakes have moved, with the Drakes reforming a wall all the way along here. This one has gone brave. He's charged into everything again, still risking a bat coming around and trapping and halving his fight value. This one has charged into the terrifying troll, but because he's within 3 inches of an egg, he is fearless. It's quite a nice little fearless bubble with the size of these bases. They can stay fearless for quite a long time. And this Drake's just pulled back closer to the objective. Remember, they're all eggs, but this is an egg on top of the central objective. So he's just coming back, helping out his friends, and also just making sure that the fighting is going on a little bit closer to the objective for the Drakes at any rate. So that is the forces of good, the Cave Drakes movement. We'll come back with evil. And in fact, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the bat. The bat is going to try and get into the back of this one, but not on a 4. Fails his courage test, and that is not very good. The cave troll is going to try his courage test just while we're here. A 5 is looking good. 10, there we go. Cave troll straight in. Even fight, and Burley, it's well worth a go. We'll come back after the goblins have moved. End of the turn, and the goblins have just flooded down towards the centre objective, and also so that next turn they can start trying to trap these Drakes, trying to bring them down. The Drakes to break will actually need to go below 50%, which means 3 Drakes have to die. These 6 wound Drakes at defense 7. So it's unlikely they'll break, much more likely the goblins will break first, but the more Drakes die, the easier it will be for Moria. So they've charged where able. The troll has been able to get in. It's not got any friends in the fight, but it's even fight value at least with that Drake. There is some shooting though. There's these 6 archers. They're going to be shooting into this Drake here, hoping to either wound it or kill the spearman. They get 3 hits, which is above average, so up or down. Oh, they all hit the spearman. That's unfortunate. And they kill the spearman. So that means that there's no heroic move or barge or anything into the troll. Into the combat phase then. And this wounded Drake is no longer in combat, so we can't do anything about this cave troll here who's going to try and barge, but the archers have soon put a stop to that. So it's just the 3 other Drakes in combat. And start of the combat phase, Groblog is going to be calling a heroic strike. First off though, we'll start off up here. We'll do Baby Drake hiding in the rocks against the cave troll. So the cave troll gets the 6. Can the Drake do the same? Yes. So it's a draw. We'll roll a Tabletop Ramblings dice. Can we get a big Tabletop Ramblings 6? No. It's a 3. So on the draw roll off, it goes to evil. And that troll is going to be wounding on 5s down to 4s with his big burly hammer. No wounds! The cave Drake backs away onto the objective and is unharmed. The troll unable to do it. What about this one here? Can this one do better? And that is the leader Drake, Rainbow Drake there. Only a 5 from the troll. The Drake did charge, so 5 on the charge. Has managed to draw the fight with a 5 and will spend that point of might to win, as that's the leader. So no might left on leader Drake, and then putting some wounds in on the troll. The troll is a lower strength than the strength 7 of the Drake, so it's knocked down and taking double strikes and is getting wounded. Strength 7 on defense 6 on 4s. So we'll roll them and then we'll roll them again because it's 10 dice looking for 4s. That's 2 wounds already. 3, 4, 5. The troll is wiped out. That is a big threat there, neutralised by the leader Drake. Rainbow Scales has definitely done the work there. Will it be enough to inspire this young Drake to great things? So Groblog's crown, does it go off? No. So Groblog is fight 3 and he strikes. Oh, only to fight 5. That is all to play for now. We'll let Groblog and co set the bar. Now Groblog has a lot of guys with him. So he's got 8 guys. He's got the Shaman in the shiny red dice, and Groblog himself in Tabletop Ramblings gets the 6. Groblog alone, powerful enough to get the 6 there with his charmed Tabletop Ramblings dice. Can the Drake get a 6 to win? Yes. The Drake wins, knocking all of them down, and he's going to go after the Goblin King. All is he? Because he could barge and get in on the Shaman, taking away the Fearless. And that is precisely what he is going to do. He is going to barge, sending all of these guys scurrying back. He only gets to move an inch, but that's more than enough because Groblog's going to go back, pushing him out of the way, and he'll then go in. We'll do all this movement off camera because there's no way on earth we can do that accurately while holding a camera. So Groblog and all the guys at the front are knocked prone and smashed back 3 inches. The spear supports and anyone that's moved out of the way also goes back 3 inches with a barge. And that includes this guy who's moved out of the way and is in pounce range. So the Shaman only has 1 attack and gets a 3. The Drake could lose it because they've been rolling poorly, but doesn't on the 6. Wins that fight and is going to eat him. So he's got 10 dice to munch him up. The first set does 2 wounds, and the second set does 3, 4, 5, and potentially even 6, 7. So 5 wounds. There is the Fury save up, which we forgot earlier. But these 5, if they're all 6s, he doesn't die. He saves 1, more than enough go through to kill him with only 1 fate. He is dead, and importantly, the Goblins have lost their Fury, which is really, really unfortunate there, and was probably a bit of a bad play there from the Goblins, having the Fury Shaman exposed. Although they really didn't expect to lose that. That does just go to show the brutal power of these Drakes. They are pretty unstoppable when they get going. So that is the end of the turn, and we will roll for priority. And it goes to the Goblins, so there's going to be a lot of courage tests as they try and charge. End of Evil's move, and it's been insult to injury really this turn. All of these guys, having been barged back 3 and knocked prone, could only move 2.5 inches because they only moved 5 and halved, meant they couldn't charge. So they've stood up and moved to 1 inch away outside the control zone. This chap managed to charge in. He's tying up both, and this guy is in on 1 so that the archers can work their magic. Groblog moving in as well. He had to stand, and then these guys up here didn't bother with any courage tests after the Troll and Durburz both failed. So a couple of guys have just tried to move around to protect. 1 passed. The central objective is underneath this Drake, so they are all within 6 inches of it, as is this chap. So at the moment, the Goblins do have the numbers on that objective. The Drakes are going to have to start killing and hoping that when the Goblins break, the game doesn't end on the roll of a 1 or 2. So all of the Drakes are tied up. There are then some shots. So these 2 are going to go into this chap here who's fighting 1. So they've not, in fact they have moved. They moved out of the way, but they miss anyway. And then these 4, they're going to go for these 2. We'll just see how many hit and then we'll decide what's going on. So 2 hit. So 1 into, in fact, we'll do both into that combat actually, because that's the most important one. So they both go up, and 50-50, it's the leader. So a 4-5-6, it'll be the leader that gets hit, and it's 1 on each. So on the leader, needing 6s by, 6s by 4s, that's a 6. By 1, so close to doing a wound on the leader Drake. Then on baby Drake, no wound. So that's all the shots. and then we'll go into the combats, and we'll just have a think about what the Drakes want to do, because this could be a very nice heroic combat here. After some thought, there's going to be no heroics called. So we'll do this one first. It's a spear goblin there, so no shield. He just has 1 dice against 4 because the Drake didn't charge, but the Drake wins anyway. And he is going to, he's just going to kill him. And he does just that. Only one of those kills. You only need 1 kill against a pleb goblin. So we'll then do this one. That goblin is going to shield. See if he can survive. No chance. And the Drake, again, is just going to mash him up. And he does successfully kill the goblin. And then here, the 2 Drakes against 1. We'll let the goblin set the bar. He shields to a 3 high. Rainbow Scales Drake gets the 6. And he is going to, he's going to barge. He'll get to move 5 inches. So this chap here moves back 3. And then this guy can move 5, which allows him just to reverse up a touch into Groblog. Try and bring him down. Doesn't really make much of a difference, to be totally honest, at this stage. But it's just to take out those big threats. Groblog is kind of happy with that sacrifice because it's opening up these gaps, and the forces of evil are currently enough on the objective. So Groblog gets double 6s. The Drake bottles it. After that, all that, the Drake goes greedy and fails. So Groblog now making strike. 6s to wound. Ooh, a 5. Well worth his last point of might. Last point of might off Groblog, but he has wounded the leader. And that is victory points secured there for the goblins. The Drake really, really wishing that he just killed that lone goblin now, as that is the first wound off and no fate left for the leader Drake. That's the end of the turn. It's definitely fierce fighting now around that central objective. Let's roll for priority. It's a draw, so it goes to, in fact it goes to the Drakes, because the goblins had it last time and failed all their courage tests. So the Drakes to move first. Start the move phase, and this Drake is just going to smash in there, wrap round and go into Durburz. It's an obvious move. Durburz is not going to bother with a heroic move to counter it, because it frees up the central objective a bit, and also he wants to get stuck in and strike anyway. It saves him might, so he's just going to do it. It means he doesn't need a courage test. He risks getting 1 shot, which would be a shame. He is the leader, but it's probably worth the gamble. So that Drake goes in there, and then we'll have a ponder about the rest of the Drake's movements. End of the move phase, and it is carnage. The Drakes have formed a little ring around the objective, although it's anyone within 6 inches, so there's a lot of goblins in there. This Drake has gone in on Durburz. The Troll's been charged all around. Goblins have got stuck in. The Bat and Groblog pass their courage to charge into the Drake, and he will be trapped. This guy wasn't in range, but he's able to get just close enough in to stop a pivot escape. Although these 3 did fail, so their spearmen have run round, just trying to get as close to the objective as possible. The archers, instead of running onto the objective this turn, they're going to shoot into this combat here, where the leader Drake is fighting 1. That will stop leader Drake from trying to help out his friend by going into Groblog, and also will hopefully take another wound off the leader Drake. So that is the movement. We'll take those shots. We have 6 archers, all shooting into this combat. Oh, some good hits there. 5 hits. Up or down. In fact, we'll do them one at a time. So that one goes down. So does it wound the spearman? No. So then the next shot, up or down? Down, does it wound him? No. The next shot, up or down? Up, does it wound? No. And then the next shot goes down, does it wound him? No. Final shot goes up, 6s by 4, no. So unable to kill the spearman and also unable to wound the drake. Fairly poor shooting there, but that's sometimes just how it goes, even with the weight of arrows being fired by those 6 goblins. So next up we have the combats, and we'll do this one first, because if he can barge, it is Good's priority, so they're perfectly able to do that. If he can barge, he will be able to save his friend. So he is 5 attacks on the charge against 1 from the goblin, and he wins. Now, eyeballing it, that looks like 2 inches. We will measure, obviously, if it comes to it. So he barges 3, easily in range there. 3 inches, yeah, miles. So this goblin is pushed back 3. He's prone, so we'll just lie him down so that we remember. We'll put prone marker on him in a minute. Oh, in fact, there's some in reach. We'll do that now. And so he is pushed back prone, and the rainbow drake just charges into Groblog, and we'll do that fight now so that the juvenile drake will not be trapped. So this is some vengeance here. If Groblog can win and wound again, that would be amazing. Oh, not quite. The drake is on the warpath. The drake wins and just puts everything into Groblog. So wounding on strength 7 on 6, wounding on 4s, and these are double strike. So only 1, and then only 1 wound. That is abysmal. Groblog backs away. He is knocked prone, but only taking 1 wound. That is shocking. He's going to save his fate for later, and and he is still in the game. We then have this fight here, and does the crown go off? In fact, does it go off? No, a 1. So the goblins with this chap no longer trapped. Only fight 2 is not high enough to beat the fight value 3, which is 6 halved of the drake. We'll let evil set the bar. They've got 4 goblins and 2 attacks from the bats. They've got the 6. Can the drake do it? He charged. Yes, we have the 6, and that is not good for evil. So the first 2 double strikes will go against the bat. That's 3 wounds. Another double strike kills the bat. So that's 3 double strikes, and then 1 more against goblin and another against the goblin. Kills the 4 wound bat and 2 goblins. That is some serious killing power there. That is brutal. We then come up and we have the troll and 2 friends. So 5 attacks against the charging green drake. So 5 on 5, even fight value. It's a draw. 4+ for good, but it goes to evil. Now this drake can back away. Oh dear. Can back away onto the objective, but he is wounded. So this could spell disaster for the wounded drake. The goblins needing 6s by 4s do nothing, but then it is 5s down to 4s with that hammer. 2 more wounds, taking the green drake down to 2 wounds remaining and 1 fate. That is not good there for the Drake. We'll just put a marker on so that we remember to mark that off as we come to the final combat. It is the striking Durburz. We probably forgot to mention that, but he's obviously striking against the Cave Drake. So his strike takes him to fight 8, I think, off the top of my head. Certainly high enough to win, but we'll let the Drake set the bar. At a 2 high. It looks like Durburz is going to win. Does he win? Yeah, obviously there on the 6. So his friend that's in the fights needs a 6, but doesn't get it. And then Durburz also does not wound, pushing the Drake back. Very lackluster final combat there after some crazy stuff so far. In fact, we'll leave that there to remind us to mark it off. That is how we're looking at the moment. A very desolate board with a lot of casualties as the Drakes defend those eggs with their dying breaths. Let's roll for next turn priority. It goes to good. Start of the movement, and with good priority, yet again, Evil are again not going to call a heroic move. It means that the Drakes will get their charge bonus, which is quite brutal, but there's only 2 might left on the board for Moria, for the Goblins, that is. It's both sides of Moria. But Durburz is going to need to strike and to try and stay alive, as the objective is just underneath that Drake's base and he needs as many bodies as possible around it. The Goblins are still a way off breaking. They're about 5 or 6 off break. So we'll see how this turn goes. With no heroics, it's going to be the Drakes to move and straight off in on Durburz. Again, not needing a courage test because they're close to the objective. And then this one is able to stay close enough to the objective and get a charge, as is this one, by flicking his tail into the prone Groblog and keeping the front of his base near the objective that you can just about see underneath that Drake's base. They've managed to form a bit of a wall, but round here, if the Goblins can get a move on, they can get close to it. So we'll come back with the Goblin movement. End of the move, the Goblins are just swarming up. The archers have all moved in. Everyone's just trying to get within 6 of that objective. None of these guys are in combat. They didn't want to bother trying to do courage tests at courage 2. Instead, they've just moved up. They're trying to trap, although it's good priority, so the order the Drakes do it in can negate that. But they are within 6. So at this point in time, the Goblins seriously outnumber the Drakes on that objective. There's no shooting, so we'll go into the combats. And Durburz, leaving himself with just 1 might, is calling a heroic strike. First off though, we'll do this one. It's the leader Drake against Groblog, who's prone, and a spear support. Groblog in the tabletop ramblings dice. Oh, it's a draw, so it goes to the forces of good on the draw. And then, can he kill? And that finishes off Durburz nice and easily there. Didn't even need his double strikes. Durburz goes down. And then we'll do this fight next. It's those 2. They don't have shields, so they're just going to fight it against the charging Drake. The Drake wins it on fight value, and he's just going to munch them. So the first one dead, and the second one dead. And then we have the Cave Troll against the charging Drake. And oh, the Drake wins. We'll just double check if that Drake has any might. So green Drake does have might. He's going to might that to get the draw. He would like to save it for when it's going to guarantee him the win, but he could actually die here. He's only got 2 wounds, 1 fate left. So he's going to get the draw, then a roll off to see who wins. And yet again, it goes to the troll. who is an absolute demon and looking for 4s on the green Drake. Can he kill him? Oh, 2 wounds. This fate is all important now. He's taken 6 wounds. He has 6 wounds. So if the fate is a fail, no, his fate is passed. So he is okay. That was nasty. Down to 1 wound, no fate, no might. That Drake is the Walking Dead now. We then have the leader there, Durburz, who struck. He gets fight 3 on 4. He is a high enough fight value to win. So we'll let the Drake set the bar. He gets the 6. And Durburz's friend, a 4. And Durburz himself, a 1 and a 4. And he doesn't have enough might to do anything about it. He loses the fight and he's knocked over. That is nasty. So the Drake is just going to put everything on Durburz. In fact, he's going to put 1 strike on the pleb. So 1 strike on the pleb, he doesn't die, and then the rest on Durburz. There'll be another 2 dice, and it's irrelevant because he is super dead. So he is down, he is prone. Put a marker on him. That could spell disaster now for the Goblins, who are going to struggle when they break to stay around. They're going to need the game to end very soon after break, which is possibly not yet. We'll have to have a quick count up. But that is how the table is looking. We have a Drake nearly dead. A lot of resources spent on the Drakes, although Moria have taken a real beating going after these eggs. Let's roll for priority. And it goes to Moria. Start of turn, who knows what. And Moria have priority and they are broken. And they have no heroes left. So there's going to be a lot of courage tests to be taken. First off though, the curly-tailed Drake baby is calling a heroic move. That's just so that they can form a bit of a bubble and try and get the charge bonuses. So we'll come back after they've done that move. After that heroic move, the Drakes have charged 1 each, which has allowed them to get their charge bonuses so that they're more likely to smash stuff up. And they've also just tried to bubble off the objective. Models can still get within range of it, especially through this gap, but generally speaking, it's going to be fairly hard for Moria to get towards the objective, which is important because now that Moria have started the turn broken, at the end of this turn, we'll be rolling, and on a 1 or a 2, the game will end. So Moria can still win this if they're really lucky. So it's now courage test time. We'll do that off camera because it's going to be very dull as there are no heroes. Every single Moria, Goblin and Troll will have to take a courage test. After those courage tests, a lot ran away. The first 3 passed their courage tests, which was incredible. They all moved to within 6 inches, not in combat, but then it all went Pete Tong. A couple did pass. 1, 2, 3, 4 passed, but the Troll and 9 ran, which gives the Goblins on the objective. They still outnumber the Drakes, but it's going to be tough if this goes on too long. So we'll go the round on these combats. And we'll start off with this Drake against that prone and shielding Goblin. So 5 on the charge for the juvenile Drake, who loses and is pushed back. So pushed back, that is not good. And the Goblin stands up. And importantly, that is 1 more Goblin alive and within range of the objective. That is not what the Drakes wanted. We'll do this one next. So that is just this chap here against the charging Drake. And the Drake wins. And that Drake is going to barge him. Barges him. He's allowed to move 4. The Goblin is prone and pushed back 3 inches onto that egg. Put a prone marker on him. And then he gets to move. So he's going to pivot. And he's able to hit both of those. And we'll just do that one now. So it's 2. They haven't got shields. They lose. And then first guy is dead. Second guy is dead. So 2 less goblins around these objectives. We'll then do the leader goblin. The leader Drake, rather, against a single spearman who's been knocked out of base. But he's touching. He loses on a 1, so the Drake wins. And again, barges. He gets to move 4. The goblin moves 3. He's going to go to here, pushing that other spearman just that little bit further back. And again, he has been knocked prone. And then this guy moves in on 2. He can possibly get in on 3, but we'll call it 2. There's no way on earth the goblins should be that stupid. So 2 bowmen against the might of the leader. Oh, the 2 bowmen really giving a good go there on 6s, but they lose on fight value. So the first one, 3s, dead and dead. That is 2 more dead goblins. They have hemorrhaged units this turn. And then we have another 1 on 5. Another draw, but again, fight value of the Drake. And again, he's going to barge. He only gets to move an inch. But this chap, importantly, is pushed back 3 and knocked prone, which will hopefully get him out of a range of that central objective. And then with 1 inch, he just backs his bun into him. And it's another 5 on 1. Can that archer win? No chance. And then rending him, or whatever he's going to do, absolutely splat. Oh, he couldn't rend because he barged, but eating him is just as effective. And that is a nasty, nasty round of combats there, with the 4 drakes surrounding the eggs. There's still a few goblins on it, but they've now no longer got the numbers. So, does the game end? 1 or 2 it ends? No, it doesn't. So priority goes to good. This spells doom for the goblins. So this goblin will charge there. He's on there as well. He is going after him. And then this chap is going to go in on him. That is still going to be within range of the objective. So they're all in range of the objective. And then there's just going to be these 2 courage tests for the 2 remaining untagged goblins. First one passes, and the second one fails. So being prone, he has to stand and move 2.5, which is about there. We'll measure that because it will be important for reaching the objective. So that goblin has moved up. He's moved up 2.5 because he had to stand up, and he is within range of the objective, which is crucial. But it's now into combats. So this one first, the spearman tries his best, but he loses 4 high, just like many of these combats. The Drake, then, he just goes for the kill, and he splats him there on a 6, so he's killed him. We then have this fight here. He is going to shield. He loses on a 6 from the Drake, who then 10 shots. The 3 does it. We'll roll them all, see if he gets in proper. Yeah, nice and easy there on the 6, and the 5 absolutely stuffs him up. And then we have this fight here with the leader against a shielding goblin. Ooh, the shielding goblin tried his best, 6 and a 5. But the fight value of the Drake is just unstoppable, and he kills him. Does the game end? There's only 1 goblin left. Does it end? No, it doesn't. That is just horrendous. Priority goes to good. So these drakes just pile on for the kill. These two are just going to chill out on the objective, and we'll do that fight. What's the goblin going to get? He does get a 6. Go on. And then leader drake gets a 6 as well and kills him. And that is the goblins tabled. All 4 drakes still alive, and the eggs are safe. Wow, what an absolute massacre. The leader did take a wound, and this drake is down to 1 wound, no fate. So it could have swung, but as it is, all 4 drakes alive, the goblins tabled, and that is a very, very strong victory there for the cave drakes. The final score is 12-1. The cave drakes have overwhelmingly taken the centre. They have broken the enemy while being unbroken, having not lost a model, and they've killed the enemy leader. The leader drake has taken a wound, giving away 1 victory point, but a 12-1 victory is still an incredible feat from just 4 models. I hope you enjoyed this game. It was certainly incredibly fun to play. Those cave drakes are really, really good fun, and it's made it worthwhile spending so long rainbowing up the scales on this one. The iridescence as the light flitters through the cave. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.